Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Next up is this beautiful 1993 Ford Lightning. Yes, another one. There's a few of them on my list right now. This one's in to get lower in the rear. We're gonna bring that rear down. Right now it has a, spring perch. It's got shackles and it's got the hangers. We're gonna be taking the hangers off, bolting the factory perches back in, and then making our own flip kit, underbed notch, and helper bags. This is all original, original, customer says. We also might be welding in this roll pan. Customer doesn't like the gap in the way it moves. So we may clean that up, get that gap right, and we may weld this solid and then prime it. I've already got the doors insulated, as you guys saw. I went ahead and boarded up. I framed the outsides up and then plywooded it. And then I used some tinted stain to stain them purple. Change it up in here a little bit. And then I remounted the power. They were offset and on some of those bars. I took them off and made them flush. Looks a lot better. But in between, still haven't got to the floors. But in between, like I said, we're gonna do some of these littler jobs. Was having a little bit of a problem with one of the bed bolts. The most common one that I'm seeing that's a problem is that front driver's side. So I went ahead and put a piece of plywood up against it, a piece of scrap, and some vice grips. That way I can use the plywood, AKA what's there, material of the bed, and not damage it. So I got it loose, broke free. We can take those two items out. Got the tailgate off and set on one of those little mini pallets over there. So that's nice and off the ground and protected. Next, we'll grab that H-bar. That's the new bed bar I'm using. And we'll get this bed off. This is now the second Lightning. This one, like I said, we're just doing a notch, flip kit, potentially weld on that roll pan. We're gonna get this thing sitting lower than the front. And then once we get everything set up, we're gonna potentially install some helper bags. That way you can fine tune the height of the rear. Hey, if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications, that way you get notified when these random small jobs pop up. You never know who's gonna hit me up and get some work done. All right, let's go ahead and get that bed off. stock hangers are put back on. Still have the 2-inch drop shackles on. We'll leave those. After we do the notch, we'll measure for the flip kit. We'll set the axle on there, and we'll see. Well, before that, I'll actually jack it up, measure the gap in between there, and then we'll set the axle on there. And we'll see if I need to add to it and make this a 5, 6, 7, however many inch drop to get it lower than where it was with the hanger and shackle. That gives you 2 inches of lift, of drop. This will give you 5 minimum, 6 or 7. So I'm saying you flip that axle on top of there and you're already getting close. And the helper bags will keep you be able to set the bed exactly where you want it. So it looks like we work on Fords now too, which I have no problem working on Ford, Chevy, Dodge, Nissan, any of them. Even if I don't know the name of it, I'll still work on it. So we've already got all the lines out of the way. Also, we got everything pulled out of the way on these older Fords. There, you don't just unbolt the brake mount to get it out of the way, so I had to disconnect the rear brake line to get it off the frame as well. I'll do a little bit of trimming right here. As you see, it's marked on both sides. And we'll start the mock-up process of this underbed notch. Next up, we can go ahead and start gluing these pieces together. I prepped all the fillers and the notch. This notch was from the last night lightning. I didn't use it because it had to be modified, and I've already went ahead and modified it for this one. And don't know whose it is, but won't be using this one again. This one does not fit fully. Plates have to be added. I had to cut down a 1/2 inch out of the back side of that lip and a 1/2 inch out of that lip down there. Otherwise, it sat too tall in the rear. You only have about 1 3/4 inches, max 2 inches, and that was sitting well over 2 inches. So like I said, we already went ahead and prepped the frame where I'm going to be adding plates. This one should be this one. It's opposite. I'm just grabbing them backwards. So this one is going to go down in here and get welded like that to give some meat. I don't want to remove the strength plate like I did on the red one. This notch, if I do that, then it brings it in so far that I have to bring that one, and is this the correct one? Yeah, and I would have to bring this plate even further out, and it's got room. That's there for a reason for these two items when it gets low. So hopefully I won't have an issue with those. If I do, then I'm gonna have to trim it up a little. So we'll cover that gas tank. I have a new fire blanket that I haven't opened yet. Time to open it. And then, like I said, we'll start gluing it together. It came with plates for the inside. They're too small. I don't know if somebody's got their measurements off or whatnot. So we'll go ahead after that's welded on the outside and we cut the center notch out. Then we'll measure and cut those plates on our table. Get it welded up, and then we gotta cut that crossbar that goes in between and run it that direction, and then go from there. If you're enjoying the content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications for me. That way you get notified when we got all these cool projects in and all these different things I'm building. We'll pop the hood when this one's over and show you the supercharger on it and stuff, the old style. Next, we'll go ahead and cut out the centers. Now that we have everything all welded up, the additional plate to extend the reinforcement plate. It's all welded in. The insides are all welded in as well. So like I said, we'll go ahead and cut the centers out. Then we'll cut the plates out on that table over there after we draw them up. Moving right along though. After I get this notch in, we'll do that crossbar, bridge bar. now that it's all welded up, I was gonna go ahead and do the bridge bar, but first we're gonna do the flip kit. I had to put a little filler up there and weld it all the way around it. Like I said, we'll figure out and do the flip kit next. That way, when I go to do that crossbar, if there's any brackets that are gonna go to it, I'm gonna make a ring mount so I can slide them on that bar before it gets put in. That way it gets more places to weld, more spots. Got everything all welded up. So the notch is officially done. Definitely took more time. Doing these notches on these Fords, these older Fords, it takes more time than just the slip-ons, and like I said earlier, than the newer models because of also the brake line down there. I'm now gonna have to probably cut and modify the factory brake line like I did on the last Lightning. So after this one, I'm gonna have a little bit of a better appropriate price because this one, I went over on my hours, but it's okay. You win some and you lose some, and this one I'm learning some. All right, we'll go ahead and start figuring out that flip kit. Now that we have the leaf springs back in and the axle flipped, it is sitting on top of the leaf springs now. All I have to do is test fit the flip kit, which we'll do right now. I've tacked it up in place. So as long as everything fits correctly, we can just weld her up, paint it up, and then give it some dry time. Be nice to be able to powder coat my own things, so maybe down the line some powder coating things will happen. Alrighty. Yeah, that's not sitting flat, but yeah, I like that. That looks good. All right, we'll weld this up and then it'll bring that up that extra ½ inch. This bracket I've made is a 6.5 inch flip kit. I can add 1.5 inches to the height of the axle off the plate and make you an 8 inch flip kit if you need. I can make all things kind of custom. So this is a 6.5 inch flip kit plus the 2 inch shackles is going to be 8.5 inch drop. And it'll probably tuck the fenders, and I'm not sure if his wheels will rub. So we'll put some pressure on it, get it to where it's as low as possible, and measure that gap. I might make spacers So when he does decide to bag this down the line, if he does, then you can take the spacers out and the bag over axle part is already done. Just have to add link bars, tank, front bags, valves, you know the list. All right, let's go ahead and weld these up. Those are fully welded up and looking real good. Let me zoom in for you. We'll go ahead and show you all 4 sides. All these welds are just popping. Sometimes when you get your temperature set right, you get your settings set right, wonderful. Look at that whole corner looking good. We'll let these cool for a little bit naturally. Then we're gonna go ahead and paint them up. I got some chassis paint, go ahead and paint them. And then we'll go ahead and install them. Once the rear flip kit is installed, we will go ahead and start working with the bag brackets. Hey, if you haven't yet and you've been following along this long on this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. Turn on notifications. You'll get notified when I get other builds in here. Got quite a list of all bunch of different things. Blocks are set into place. Next, I was trying to see if any of the stuff that came on this one, there was some, looks like traction bar kit. But this won't work, or any of the other ones I have. I've got the old Lightning, factory Lightning ones. Those holes won't line up, and it's different. The holes are for a curved. I have the square U-bolts already. We already have the top plate. All I need now is to get some nuts for this guy. And we need to go ahead and cut the plate to bolt the U-bolts to. And I haven't used it yet. I'll go grab it. It's actually still in the box, but I have Harbor Freight's new 12-inch press brake for thicker. It goes up to supposedly 3/8 thick, but we'll set it on top of there. We'll cut these guys, the bottom plates for them, and we'll snug them down and keep going. As you saw, the plates are cut, but I went ahead and opened up the box because, as I said, I wanted to try this new fender for the shop brake attachment. I wanted to try it on these new plates, but unfortunately it doesn't look like I can do some tight ones. I wanted it to bend in between at like right here where my nail is, but where the point of that's gonna be for me to push, it's not gonna do. So I'll go ahead and cut 4 little strips, I don't know, 1/2 inch by the width of this, and I'll weld them on at a slight angle, actually downward, to give this some strength, so when you bolt the U-bolts to it, it doesn't bow any direction. So we'll go ahead and draw that up and get those cut, get these welded. Then I gotta paint them as well. Then we can put them on and the flip kit will be done. Then we can start working on the bag mounts. I decided against cutting more material off the plasma table for it and went ahead and sliced through half of it and then bent them up on the table, and now they're all welded up. Get that focus to get in. There we go. There's that beautiful focus. Both sides, and once it cools off a little bit, we'll go ahead and paint it. I can feel the heat from about that far. I mean, the welder isn't at full temperature capacity, but it's up there. Wire speed's a little slower than what they recommend, because me personally, I want to build up that heat. So we'll get them on there, bolted up. I have the U-bolts here, like I said. I don't have the nuts and washers, so I'll run down to Ace and snag those after I paint it while it's drying. And then these are from another kit. I didn't have to bend them up or anything. I'll just reuse them if it decides it wants to focus. So I'll just recycle these and just put them in with this kit. I didn't like the one that was on the previous one. I want mine wider and a little more centered. All right, let's go ahead and, like I said, we'll hang those up and we'll get them painted all the way over there. We'll hang them up on my makeshift parts hanger. I kind of like the way this material is. The hooks I have go up in here and then lock in onto the side. Man, that focus is really terrible, sorry. It almost hooks and locks in. You go up to the middle and go out, and it hooks onto this outside, so it secures it. So I might make a rolling rack with some of that stuff and some wheels. I don't know yet, because I'm always painting stuff And it'd be nice just to have something like that without the mesh, a little more heavy duty that I can, and a little shorter, that I can just hang a couple things from every now and then. Or like I've said before, maybe I should get a small powder coating booth. But that's just more stuff adding on. All right, let's keep moving forward though. Jack stands are out from underneath the axle. I went ahead and took off the shocks as they were at a weird angle, and I didn't want them to start hitting right here on the notch. So those might have to be relocated, or maybe the extenders will work. I have a set here. I'll go ahead and put them on and try them at a later time. But the flip kit is completely installed. Before, we had 10 inches between on top of the axle to the top of the frame. Now there's 6. So it went 4 inches lower, and now that means that tire will be halfway tucking in that lip, which will be too low, or he'll be rubbing the tubs. So that's what the helper bags are gonna do. They're gonna be able to fine tune the height on where he wants them. Because these are not the wheels that go on the truck. These are just rollers. So we still have to put the crossbar in, manipulate the brake line, and get it mounted where we want, whether I have to cut it or rebend it or whatnot. Need to make the brackets for the helper bags for the pull side. I'm gonna have them come off of the bridge bar, similar almost over the axle. And then I need to design and cut the bag mounts on the axle housing side. Still need to weld up this roll pan and reassemble everything back together. We also need to cut the support bar off the bottom of this one, off the bed, before it gets put back on as well. So with all that being said, we're gonna cut this video. That's it for this one. If you wanna watch the rest of this truck get finished, we'll even pop the hood and show you the supercharger underneath it. Then you gotta look out for the next video coming next week. As usual, I wanna say to everyone, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.